It's time for the King Louie OG and Slimeboat Jones Slimecast. Oh yeah.
Damn it, I can't keep up with you, youngster.
Alrighty then, it is time now for the second episode of the Slimecast. I'm King Louie OG, your host, and we are also here with the man of the hour, the man too sweet to be sour, Slimeboat Jones.
How you doing, guys?
Today we will be discussing both of our favorite franchises. Lots of memories, lots of classic moments, lots of good times and good laughs. But the Halo franchise has been very important to both of us, and not only to us, but the entire gaming industry, as many of you will remember that online gaming, as far as standard shooters go, even general online accessible on consoles, did not start until Halo 2 made it a feasible thing and where it was used by everyone widely. Before that, you had your LAN connections, your local, tournaments, nothing over the internet really. But Halo, as far as not only gameplay is concerned, but just cinematics, music, the way they presented the campaign, it affected the rest of the gaming industry and still is, we're still feeling the effects of that. So quite an important title, quite an important series in gaming history.
Yeah, so I think what we want to do today is kind of go through our first experiences with Halo, kind of our favorite moments, what it means to us, and kind of how we feel about some of the later titles and where we hope the series is headed. There is a new game on the horizon, Halo Infinite. It has been delayed, but hopefully it comes out very soon. Hopefully it comes out this year. And so we'll get into some of our hopes for that game as well. So, King Louie, why don't you start? What's your first experience with Halo?
Okay, so I did not have the original Xbox until after Halo 2 had already come out. And the reason I got the original Xbox is because at my friend Pat's house, I went over and we were normally would play like wrestling games, at my house, or the occasional like Pokemon battle. But I went to his house and his half brother and him were playing Halo, which I had heard about at that point, but I had never played. And much to not my surprise, but to my delight, really, it was very similar feeling to that first time I played 007 GoldenEye, where it was just four guys running around, shooting each other and having a grand old time. So I'm pretty sure it was Hang 'em High. Was that the level?
Oh, so you played the multiplayer.
Multiplayer
first. Okay.
Halo 1 Hang 'em High at my friend Patrick's house was my first experience with Halo.
Okay, interesting. So it's similar in some ways, but different in other ways. So for me, I also didn't own the Xbox right away. I think I got Halo 1 and Halo 2 at the same time when I got the Xbox. I was a little late to the party, but I played Halo 1, or Halo CE, Combat Evolved, at a friend's house as well. But for me, it was the campaign mission. It's right in the middle of the campaign. Assault on the Control Room is the first level I played, and we did co-op. It was me and a buddy, and I played through that, and it was one of those games that changes the way you think about gaming, in the sense that, like, oh wow, like it opens your mind to like what is possible. You know, because before that, the only shooters I had played had been like a Perfect Dark or a 007 on the N64, pretty clunky, slower paced, not so precise, you know, Doom and stuff like that. So when I played Halo, it really opened my eyes, and I had a blast. And yeah, ever since then, I really liked it. And I think like looking back at it, you know, it's one of the longest levels. Like, so like Assault on the Control Room is like one of the longest levels. It's like a real slog to get through, but like still to this day, it's like one of my favorite levels because it was the first one that I played.
So, like you said, you were late to the party. So, like I said, I didn't get the original Xbox until the year that Halo 2 and Doom 3 came out. They came out the same year. And those are my first two Xbox games, because that's what that year I got for Christmas. Those are the two games that I got with it. So I never played the Halo 1 campaign until way later in the Master Chief Collection.
You didn't play it until way late, like that far late? You never went back and played it?
I had played bits and pieces here and there, but I never sat down and played it myself until the Master Chief Collection.
That's why you always talk so badly about
because
it.
And when you go back and you play Halo 1, not with rose-tinted glasses, not with nostalgia specs on, some clout goggles, you realize that it's 90% backtracking, and it's not that great. It's not that fun, but for the time, I mean, it was revolutionary, fantastic. One of the best.
It's definitely not 90% backtracking. It's a lot of repeated assets where like there's certain levels where you're playing the level in reverse. It's not necessarily backtracking.
That's the definition of backtracking.
Well, no, because they add different elements to different enemies, and it's like it's not like you have to go back through an area that you've already been in the same level and you've killed all the guys.
Yeah, but you're going back through the same level. There's just new guys.
Yeah, I guess. They're trying to stretch what they had.
Again, like I said...
My thing is a lot of the hallways look the same.
Yeah, but
you get lost.
My issue is that I had played Halo 2 and Halo 3 and all the other Halos up to 4.
Which are infinitely better.
Not 4.
Not 4. 4's crap.
Halo 2, 3, Reach, and ODST... honestly, ODST is suspect, but not bad. It's got some good parts in it. But other parts is real slog. But 2, 3, and Reach, this cinematically, story-wise, gameplay-wise, obviously the advance in the smoothing of the weapons, like, it's just obviously it came out later, so it's going to be better, like, in that sense. But it's the way that Halo 1 unfolds, other than the part where you're, like, in the desert with the sniper, and, like...
Halo 3, you mean?
No, in Halo 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
All right, it's like a
canyon.
Canyon, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sandy and it's got, varied shrubbery. But other than that, and, like, the first time you're on the Covenant ship...
Which is the same level.
The same level.
Second half of that level. It's like 2 and 1.
Other than that, the rest of the game is kind of like a blur that looks the same to me in my mind.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of Halo 1. Still love using the pistol. Like, I can have fun playing through. But, yeah, you're right in the sense that a lot of it is very similar throughout. Like, I always end up using the same... Like, I use the pistol the whole game. Like, the whole way through. It's just, it's not balanced correctly in the sense that, like, you're incentivized to use any other weapon. So, like, you end up using the pistol the whole time through if you know what you're doing. You get the sniper rifle when you can get it. You get the rockets when you can get it. A lot of the hallways look the same. But I still always have a blast. It's fun to go through. Definitely more fun to go through with a buddy. On campaign, because you can kind of like mess around, mess with each other as you're playing through it. Obviously, playing it on legendary difficulty is the way to go. One of the things that I like about...
And just to cut you off real quick, legendary is the way to go for most Halo games. There's the certain one that, unless you're trying to stress yourself out, you might want to choose to go with heroic.
Yeah, legendary in Halo 2
is
very difficult.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Halo 2. We'll kind of focus on Halo 1 for now, but you usually play it through with a buddy, and at the end you kind of are in the same Warhog together. Like, it definitely had a good feel. Like, it made you feel like a badass. In some of the later Halo games, like definitely Halo 3, like it makes you feel like a badass. Unlike Halo 4, where it makes you feel like a wimp at the end, where Master Chief gets
trash.
Yeah, Master Chief gets backhanded and crawls on the ground at the end in the last cinematic, and there's not even a boss battle. I'll never forgive 343 for that.
Yeah, no, I haven't played a Halo since. But
at least Halo 1, you felt like a complete badass, and so that's why I like it. And it's a good game.
As far as Halo 1,
it still holds up, at least.
And like being in the Warthog and playing with friends, like I said, so I started on Hang 'em High, but I would go back to my friend's house regularly, and we would play, Blood Gulch and do vehicles, and oh man, what a time! Like, what a fun time that was! Like that just being able to play such a game on the same screen. So, because like before that you had, like your side scrollers, like we talked about Turtles in Time last time. Like, yeah, you got 2 players, but it's like the same screen going on and there's nothing really flashy happening. But like, you're in vehicles blowing shit up. Like, at the same time as your buddy who could blow up something entirely different. At the time, that was crazy.
Yeah, I think the Xbox was a big leap forward, for sure. It's funny that you mentioned the vehicles. I remember the Ice multiplayer level, and I forget what it's called. It might be called Sidewinder. I'm not sure.
I think so. That sounds right.
And what we would do is we would park a tank out on the ice. And what you could do with the Ghost, because the Ghost in Halo 1, you could go faster, like going sideways, than you can go going forward. They didn't have the boost yet. And what we would do is like go really, really fast sideways and like use the tank as a jump, and go off the tank and like try to get really high and like hit each other in the air with rockets and stuff. And we used to like make our own games, see who can jump the highest, see who can hit each other in the air. We played multiplayer a little less competitively on Halo 1. Now in Halo 2, it was a whole different ballpark. And when Halo 2 came out, they had the online matchmaking. And we made our own games too, like zombies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Before it was an official game type. And but yeah, in Halo 1 is more like playing around, like having fun with the sandbox,
seeing how far you can hit someone across the level with the needler type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But for both Halo 1 and Halo 2, and even Halo 3 to an extent, actually maybe more so in Halo 3. I'm pretty sure, I definitely remember 2 like the back of my hand, but like I said, I didn't play Halo 1 till later. But I know that in Halo 2, probably in Halo 1, in Halo 3 to some extent, there was getting outside of levels, frag grenade jumping onto these hidden ledges to go through the map, all types of things like the the gun you get the Scarab gun, if you like glitch through the map and go around the city and outskirts, I believe.
Yeah, no, the next level, Metropolis,
yeah. But there's so many nifty little things that like some of them were completely intentional. You got to think that the Scarab gun being where it was and how it was found,
totally intentional.
One of the developers put that there and made a way to get it, and like then put it on the internet so people could do it. Because which there wasn't, not to my knowledge, but back in 2005 and 6, something like that, when that was out, there weren't data miners. Like, people didn't know these things. They had to be told how to find that, I would think.
Well, not necessarily true, because me and Eric, we started modding Halo 2. So when Halo 2 came out, we were at an age, I was in middle school, and we were at an age where we were learning about computers, we were kind of getting a little bit smarter. We weren't just playing games, but we were really like breaking them, like you said. Yeah. So you find out about the Scarab gun, which is cool, but then, we got into like FTPing the Xbox, which is just a file transfer method that we ended up just doing mods. So they didn't have like data mining where it's like they knew every single file in the game.
But you could access the files.
But you could access the files.
Yeah.
Like now I think there's like a much more robust community where it's like people know every single thing that's in the game, because gaming just as an industry has really evolved, and there's just a lot more people on there.
And there's a lot more uniformity to everything where file types are going to be in the same spots typically.
But this, I think, was the beginning of it, you know.
Right.
So yeah, we used to mod it. We made our own mods. I know one time in
I remember
Halo,
our friend was working on a Desert Eagle for the longest time. Did he ever finish that?
Well, it's funny because I know he wanted to make a Desert Eagle because he just had a hard on for it. But what I did is I used some free 3D program and I made a Magnum and had it replace the handgun, model.
Yeah.
And then you just make it shoot the sniper rifle bullet.
Yeah.
And you just give it the shotgun sound effect.
Yeah.
And it's like, boom, you got a Magnum. And it was like the coolest thing, to do that, yourself. And nowadays it's like modding is so much more advanced and complex. But this was really my first experience with it. And I know PC games, obviously back in the day there was mods and stuff like that. But this was really the first time you could mod something on console.
Yeah.
I mean, just had a blast.
There were guys who knew what they were doing modding PlayStation 2 back in the day, but that's the same generation. But PlayStation was always much more difficult because it wasn't DirectX. That's why Xbox is called Xbox, for those of you who don't know, because it's the DirectX box. So it was like DirectX was on PC as it stood, so to mod it is much more simple than to actually work around all of the Sony malarkey and hijinks that they had built into the PS2 and PS3 and so on.
Yeah, we did a lot of cool stuff with the mods. Towards the end of Halo 2's life, there was definitely a good modding community. I don't remember the websites we used to go on, but you could download mods. And they had whole map packs. I know Killtrocity map pack was something. I still think, it's funny, I'm in the process of packing up and moving, and I came across my Killtrocity map pack disc. I still have it.
Oh, the DLC disc?
It's not DLC. That was a fan-made map pack.
That they just made.
But it was all mods. I have it on like a burnt disc, burnt DVD, and I came across it, and I still have my modded Xbox. And the only thing I ever used my modded Xbox for was to mod Halo 2, and that was it. So a lot of
our other
cool
unscrupulous friend did some DVD swindling on his modded Xbox, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. Yeah, I have a bunch of ISOs on discs that I can play on there. So I have like Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction, downloaded, and I have I think Morrowind. My copy of Morrowind for the Xbox is a burnt DVD. So it was back in the day when they didn't have as many controls. I think the password for the FTP feature in the Xbox was Xbox. So that's how people were able to get in and mod it and stuff like that. But I remember Halo 2. Really funny story about Halo 2 is when it first came out, my friend was so pumped. He was like obsessed with video games, and it's funny now because like nowadays he doesn't play any games just because he's so busy. He's working. He's got a wife. He's getting ready to have kids, and I still play video games, but at the time he was like so obsessed with video games, he'd be playing them all the time. And I remember he was so
if
excited.
He wasn't eating or sleeping, he was playing
Halo, and he was so excited for Halo 2 to come out, and we played the campaign together when it first came out, and he got so mad. The first level, there's this weird thing where it doesn't let you progress to the room that has the bomb in it at the end of the level unless both characters
are in the elevator.
Yeah. And we didn't know that. And so, like, I was running around, looking around, he's looking around, and, like, he was getting really, really frustrated with it, and he, like, got really pissed at the game. So, like, we ended up, like, not completing the first level at the end of the night until, like, I think I died. Like, I was like, oh, we're messing around, and it fell off. So then I respawned in the elevator with him, and then it progressed, and we're like, oh, my God. Like, we spent, like, an hour, like, trying to figure out where to go. Most games, it would just, like, progress you, like, based on, like, the first player.
In Halo 1, it would have just teleported.
It teleports you or something like that. So, like, we were so used to Halo 1.
Right,
we didn't know we both had to go. And then when he was already angry. And then when we finally got to, I think we played through Outskirts, and when we got to Metropolis,
The one part with all the snipers?
No, when we got to Metropolis, when you go over the bridge in the beginning, you come across your first Wraith. And, like, it was a big thing.
Yeah.
It was a big thing. In Halo 2, you couldn't drive the Wraiths. But in Halo 1, you couldn't drive the Wraiths. And in Halo 2, you could. So he really wanted to drive the Wraith. And, like, every time I would shoot it and just blow it up. Because, like, I'm going through and just, like, killing dudes. And he would get so mad at me. Oh, my God. He ended up turning off the game and sending me home because I kept killing the Wraiths. And so I don't think we completed it that night. I don't think I played Halo 2 again until I got it myself because he didn't let me play with him. Because, like, you know, I wasn't aware of, like, how much you could shoot them yet before they blew up. Because in Halo 1 they were pretty tanky. It had him with like 2 or 3 rockets. But like one tank shot was killing them. So it's like, you know, I wasn't fully used to it. But oh yeah, that's a good memory. He got so mad at me.
Halo 2, speaking of Halo 2 campaign, as we mentioned before, on Legendary, for me, I wasn't able to do it until I was a little older, but I could not solo Legendary by myself my first few years with Halo 2. And I remember...
I mean, even now, going back as an older person, I wouldn't say an adult, because I was in middle school then.
Right.
But, like, I wasn't a kid, but even now it's hard to go back and
there's a few parts that are just so hard, especially fighting against Regret, because of all of the damn sword elites. What are they? The Tower Guardsmen elites, the one with the big yellow and orange headdresses.
Honor guards.
Honor guards. Oh my god, that part on Legendary is like, your heart is beating, you're sweating profusely, and then you die anyway, and you have to do it again. That is that is probably the single most stressful part in any Halo game, I'd say.
Yeah, that level in general is really difficult, because that's probably the hardest part of any Halo game, is that on Legendary by yourself. Either that or maybe Cortana in Halo 3 with all the Flood. That's pretty tough, but I would say the Regret battle is definitely the hardest.
I think that...
And even that whole level, there's so many snipers in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's so difficult.
But that's because you play it so many times, you know where they are and you take them out.
Yeah.
But as far as Cortana is concerned, I don't think Cortana is that hard, other than that one part where you go into the big room with all the guys shooting at you.
And you have to, like, climb up.
And you have to, like, spiral up. That's the only hard part of that mission, I think. But it's getting ahead of ourselves. Because also, the thing about Halo 2 that, as, you know, whether or not you played on Legendary, Heroic, Normal, doesn't matter. One of the best Halos, specifically, because it has bosses in it. Like, what a novel idea to have bosses in a video game. Like, wow. And then they immediately scrapped it. And the only boss you got in Halo 3, which I love Halo 3, don't get me wrong. The only boss you fight in Halo 3 is 343, and it's shoot him twice with the Spartan
It's more
laser.
cinematic.
And it's more cinematic.
Yeah. It's cathartic, though, when you finally kill that guy. Because, like, going back to Halo 1, I remember like hating him in Halo 1. Like, they wrote him really well as a character, where at the end of Halo 1, you really hated him. And I think if you beat it on the Legendary difficulty Halo 1, you, like, see him floating in space. Like, you see that he survived.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that son of a bitch.
You made me lose my place. I don't know.
They had bosses in Halo 2, is what you're saying.
I was going to go somewhere.
And they didn't have it in Halo 3. I know in Halo 3, you can tell they thought about having a boss after you kill Regret. Or Arbiter kills Regret, and then all the tentacles come up. And the music gets intense. You can tell that Gravemind was supposed to be a boss.
Supposed to be a boss there.
And then, like, the tentacles go away, and then you just, like, run down the hallway.
No, you fight some brutes.
No, they're already dead. It's the Flood. It's the Flood come down. Yeah. All right, so I have a question. What do you think about the Flood?
The Flood?
Let's go through the Flood, because Halo is interesting. You got multiple factions, so let's talk about the Flood.
Halo 1 Flood is, as far as if you just fought one guy, not too bad. But the fact that whenever you're fighting the Flood in Halo 1, you're fighting 20 guys at once, and they're always coming at you. Jumping at you, you're trying to shoot one, there's 3 more behind you swinging. Halo 2... not as big of a problem as far as numbers, but Halo 2 Flood never die. They absolutely never die. They never die. That you just keep shooting them. You need a shotgun to kill them, and even at that, like
or a sword.
Like you have to blow them to bits. Like they just do not go down. And especially in that one mission with the Arbiter in Halo 2, that's another really hard mission with all the flood.
Yeah, and then they give you every once in a while, Flood will have a rocket launcher.
Oh, and they'll have there's be 3 Flood coming at you with shotguns, and they just blow you to bits. That is terrible. Halo 3 Flood are a joke, other than, like I said, the ones that shoot. The ones that like can change from being like the grasshopper praying mantis thing into the flower thing that shoots into the big, bulky, brutish one. Those are the only difficult Flood. Other than that, they added the flamethrower, which just cleans their clocks.
You want to know where they made a mistake in Halo 3? So in Halo 1 and Halo 2, you couldn't melee the Flood and kill them. But in Halo 3, you could melee and kill them.
Which I think I don't think that's a mistake. I think that's better.
Which made it so that way you didn't have to like have a specific arsenal to fight the Flood,
which is better.
Which I always thought was not better, because the thing about the Flood in Halo 1 is you felt like helpless against them. Same thing with Halo 2, like, you're helpless unless you have a certain weapon, okay, and then it's a little bit easier, because they're supposed to be scary. In Halo 1, it's almost like a horror game after they're revealed, especially during the reveal, it's like a horror game.
Yeah.
So it's like you're meant to feel kind of helpless, but in Halo 3, like you said, they're more of a joke. They're more of like, okay, yeah, I'm like going through and I'm cleaning them up, throwing grenades. Like, you have a lot more at your disposal, and it makes it so that they're a little less scary. Which is why I think they had to counteract it by adding the new Flood forms that shoot at you and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's a little weird how that ended up being balanced.
Why I think that it's a problem. Like, not necessarily that they're meant to be scary, that they're meant to be hard. I get that. But when you make it so that you have to have a specific weapon to beat something, especially in a multiplayer game, you're going to have the one person who has the right weapon and the one other person who just keeps dying. Because they don't have the right weapon, because there's nothing they can do, because there was only one weapon given between 2 or 3 or 4 people. And it's just, that isn't fun at that point. It's like, oh, okay, let's all stand behind this guy who has the right weapon and do nothing because we're helpless.
I don't know if I ever experienced that. I know when you first get introduced to the Flood, they give you one shotgun.
In Halo 2, in that Arbiter mission, is definitely a lot of that. Where you just like, if you don't have the right weapon, well, too bad. You're going to die.
But they give you swords and they give you the shotgun. And I think you spawn with the sword if you're the Arbiter, right? And the sword is good.
Yeah, the sword is good.
And they give you vehicles.
That's later when the mission gets a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I'm saying that early part where you have to shoot the sentinels coming out of the holes in the wall, absolutely, like, just because all they give you are these, like, lame sentinel weapons that don't do anything.
So, Halo 2, the best weapon when you're playing Legendary is the plasma pistol.
Well, yeah.
It kills the sentinels in one hit, kills the sentinel holes in one hit, like where they get spawned out of. It also, in Halo 2 Legendary, when we kind of mentioned it earlier, it's so difficult, you have to use the noob combo if you want to get through it. Unless you're just a god. But if you're like a layman like us, you have to use the noob combo, which for those of you who don't know, it's where you use the plasma pistol, get the shields down of the enemies, and then use a weapon that can get a headshot to take them out in one hit. You have to use those against the elites. You have to do that. But yeah, I noticed in Halo 2, I end up using the plasma pistol a lot. In Halo 1, I end up using the regular pistol a whole lot, because that pretty much kills everything. And then 3, I think they strike a good balance where you can really use the guns that weapons, you like. Yeah. And you're not...
Other than the carbine. The carbine is just not good in Halo 3.
It's still it's not as good because it's not as accurate. Kind of, you have a big reticle in Halo 3, but you can still use it, and it still gets headshots.
Yeah.
It's not unusable.
As far as the plasma pistol noob combo, in Halo Reach... as the difficulty scales on Legendary, depending on how many people are playing. So if you're playing solo, it's much more manageable. But if you're playing Legendary with 4 people, you absolutely need the noob combo because the elites are just sponges. They do not go, and their shields recharge. So, like, you have to noob combo them, basically, to kill them.
Yeah, they messed up with the balancing in that regard, because I remember in Halo Reach, if you don't noob combo, or if you're not just, like, really good and stealthy, and you'll end up running out of ammo.
Yeah.
I remember running out of ammo.
That's when you play with
Reach.
multiple people on Legendary, because they just become such sponges.
Yeah. But you noob combo, and that's not a problem.
Yeah, it's
I think
unfortunate that you
Halo
have to
3
resort to
had
that.
the best
balance.
The Flood, like I said, a little bit easier, made him not as scary, but like as far as like all the other enemies, definitely had the best balance, definitely had the best weapon balance.
Yeah, because, there was... You could really... The assault rifle, which wasn't that good in Halo 1, they took out of Halo 2, was significantly better in Halo 3, where you could use it feasibly for a good portion of a map, a mission, or whatever, what have you, and then upgrade. Like, it's not like, oh, I died and now I'm stuck with the assault rifle. Like, I could use this for a few minutes before I find something else. Like, it's not terrible. Whereas in Halo 1, I remember the assault rifle just, like, not being that good.
I always get rid of the assault rifle in Halo 1.
Yeah,
even though
the pistol's just so much better.
The pistol's really, really good, and
it gives so much ammo, too.
I usually, if I have a secondary weapon, I swap it for a plasma rifle. Because in Halo 1, it has a little bit of
so good.
Has a stun effect, and also it's really, really high range. Like, you can hit people from far away. Better range than in the later games. So that's what I would do in Halo 1.
I know in Halo 1 also the Needler is pretty magnificent, which they nerfed tremendously. I remember that being a thing with my friend who I had played Halo 1 with. When Halo 2 came out, he was all upset because the Needler wasn't as good as it used to be. So that's
but you could dual wield the Needler.
But that's how they. Yeah.
That's how they counteracted it.
And
Halo 3,
the ammo was way less.
Halo 3, they buffed it again, but made it so you couldn't dual wield it. So it kind of went back.
Yeah, and then the best Needler weapon of all time is in Halo Reach, the Needler rifle. I love that weapon.
I love the needle rifle.
The needle rifle is so much better than the carbine from any game. Definitely my favorite non-BR rifle weapon in any Halo, because obviously the BR is the best. But yeah, I love the needle rifle. So now we were on Halo 2 campaign a little bit. So Halo 3 campaign, I'd have to say, I think that there's a lot of great things in 2, and there's a lot of great things in Reach, but I think Halo 3, even as I said, it had a lack of bosses. Like, they took that out. It wasn't that good. 343 and this and that. Halo 3, on the whole, is the best. It has both of my favorite missions back-to-back in any Halo game.
Which are,
I believe, the Ark is the first one when you're in the desert.
Yep, that one's good.
And then the Covenant, which is when, it's... the 3 towers, and you have to take down the 3 shield towers, and then,
there's no level in between?
No, that it goes right into it.
And those are 2 really long levels.
Then they're long
too.
levels, yeah. And
I would agree. Those are probably that's probably the best.
My all-time favorite cutscene is when, the music kicks in and you see the Pelicans roll in, but then you see...
And they drop in, right?
No, you see the Pelicans rolling in, and then you see the green... Phantoms follow them. I was like, oh, it's on now.
Yeah,
that. I love that.
And then you proceed to get shot down.
Yeah, but that's still, it's, and then that.
But they start you with the Spartan laser.
The Spartan laser, and then you get the tank in that mission, and you can get a Wraith in that mission. You can get a hammer, rocket launchers, brute weapons. Pretty like
the fuel rod. I love the fuel rod.
That mission is so good.
They give you a lot of fuel rod ammo in the Ark.
I'd take that mission over the Ark. I think that the Covenant is the single best Halo campaign mission.
Yeah, I know on Legendary, it'll take you a long time to get through that mission. That's a long mission.
See, but I've soloed Halo 3 Legendary when it first came out because it was much more feasible.
So it's interesting. Halo 2, the Legendary difficulty is too hard, in my opinion, where it's like the enemies know where you are even when you're hiding.
Yeah.
They have pinpoint accuracy. They have a lot of health. Halo 3, I think they went back in the opposite direction where it's almost like Legendary is a little bit too easy. I've always said that
I'd say
I
for
wish there
Halo
was like a
3
harder difficulty, not as hard as Halo 2, but a little bit more.
I'd say
difficult.
Halo 3, the hardest mission is probably like the first one. Because that whole part where you come, I'm hit now, and there's all the guys with like carbines, and you don't really have good weapons yet. You find your first DMR like right around there. You're experiencing brutes with the armor for the first time, and it's like that. And then you get past that point, and you get to the point where you're up on the hill, and then there's all the snipers and the carbine guys like up in the hills, and then you turn the corner, and then you go around to where it's like that factory area where you save Johnson, and there's just snipers everywhere, and there's a bunch of brutes coming at you. Like that, I think is like one of the hardest parts in Halo 3, and it's right at the beginning, because there's, other than that, like Cortana, like you said,
I think that's the hardest mission.
that's what I'm saying.
To solo.
Those are the two, I think,
Yeah.
difficult missions. Everything else is pretty straightforward, pretty easy.
Yeah, everything
comparatively.
else. They give you the tools that you need to
Yeah.
execute. You know, they give you good weapons. They give you good, vehicles. Halo 3, they really ratcheted it up to 11, where they added the missile pod. They added the fact that you can rip off the turrets.
Yeah.
They added the Mauler. They added the Hornet. They added just...
the Hornet. I forgot about the
They
Hornet.
added
Hell yeah.
so many things, and like nothing felt like forced, or like they added the gravity hammer. They like there's so many things that like I consider like quintessentially Halo that wasn't added until
Halo 3.
Halo 3.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show like how good that game was. They really struck a good
What
balance
was
there.
I can't remember. I could see it. The Halo 3 multiplayer map. It was like nighttime. It was kind of green tinted. The hammer was in it, and you can kind of go under the middle and like the
Guardian.
Guardian. Yes, that was my favorite Halo 3 map.
Interesting. So it's funny looking back at certain games, and recently I kind of did this with Ocarina of Time, where like you learn about some of these games like after the fact, like through data mining or through like interviews with the developers, and or different means. And in Halo 3, it's actually interesting. If you go back and play it, you'll notice that there's like kind of like a gap where when you show up at Cortana, where it like doesn't really make sense with like the pacing of the story, where it's like, oh, okay, all of a sudden you're here. It doesn't really explain why you went there, how you got there. It's like it does it in tangentially, but it's because there's this cut mission that the aesthetic of the mission was the same aesthetic as that Guardian multiplayer level. Like that, you know how like that Guardian multiplayer level has that like
Unique
it's like
aesthetic.
unique aesthetic. It's
Yeah.
like Forerunner, but it's like overgrown,
Yeah.
and it's nowhere else in the campaign.
Right.
Like they didn't just like make those assets for that one mission. Like that was supposed to be a single player mission or campaign mission.
Where you get that Banshee that Chief flies into.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like you notice when you look back at it, there is something weird about it.
Because it kind of just goes from the tower with Arbiter to being on the Banshee headed towards Cortana, yeah.
Yeah, so they definitely added some stuff to the game. Or they removed some stuff from the game rather. That it's interesting. You go back and you look, and there's like they have map names and that are numbered, and then obviously they skip one, so you're like, well, what the heck? And it's just really cool stuff.
And then also with Halo 3, getting back to more multiplayer stuff, I absolutely loved the fact that, because in Halo 2, you had your one rating, your online level, your overall, whatever, I forget what like the actual ranking was called. And I remember like you just had your one ranking and you played Slayer or you played whatever the options were. Because I'm pretty sure Halo 2 had SWAT and all these other game types that we played. I haven't played Halo 2 online in obviously decades now.
Yeah, probably 15 years plus.
Time flies. But Halo 3, you could play different things and have different rankings. So I know that I was always better in Lone Wolves. Like I got up to the mid 40s in Lone Wolves, where I know our mutual friend got up to 50 in doubles.
I think Eric got to general.
That's what I'm saying.
In
50,
Lone Wolves as
50
well.
Oh,
In his second file, because it's the way that they used to do it is like you would have to get on like a streak. So it's like you could get up to 50 really quick if you like started a new gamer tag and like just got up to 50 as fast as you could, as opposed to like having a file that had some
grinding it out. Yeah,
it had some losses on it. You had to like almost overcome your losses.
Yeah.
So I remember he like created a new gamer tag, and him and I know Richie got up to 50 really quick. There's a couple of our friends. Richie got up to 50.
Richie was good.
Was a general.
Richie was good, yeah.
Surprised me.
See, because I only played with Richie later, I think during the Reach days. I don't think I played with Richie during 3 days.
I definitely played Reach the most. Like, for me, multiplayer, obviously I modded Halo 2. Halo 3, I played a lot with, I loved Big Team battle, social. Like, I didn't really like do the I didn't really grind the rankings.
Yeah.
And then Halo Reach, definitely played the most Halo Reach online.
So what I was saying is I got good at Lone Wolves, but I never ever, because I don't know if it was just who I got paired with, and things that ended up happening, or the other team was just like all really great. I never had consistent success with any of the teams. So I think I only got up to 30 something in regular Slayer, and I think I did pretty good in SWAT, but I think SWAT was also just like a subcategory of Lone Wolf. So I might be conflating two games. But
I think SWAT was just like a game type. It wasn't.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't like
until Reach. They made it like its own pickable thing. Yeah. Okay. But that's because that was so good, because I could go and be level 46 or whatever the hell I was in Lone Wolves and have my heart racing, because it's like, if I lose, I'm going to go down, and if I win, it's awesome. And then I could all right, well, I'm going to calm down for a minute and go and play Big Team, where I'm ranked 12, and who cares? It was nice to have the separation there, where it's I don't really feel like doing anything serious. Let me just do Big Team, or let me just do Slayer. That was something I really enjoyed about Halo 3 as opposed to Halo 2, where everything you did in Halo 2 affected your score. So it got to a point where I just didn't care at all in Halo 2 how high my score got.
I remember in Halo 3, I played Big Team Battle the most. And there's one map that I don't like, but I really liked Sand Pit. It's either Sand Trap or Sand Pit.
Trap.
It's either Sand Trap or Sand Pit.
It was Sand Trap.
Sand Trap. Because then they added, the way at the end, they added another sand level.
Because you're mixing up the Pit and Sand Trap.
Okay, yeah. So, Sand Trap, and they had the elephant. And you get all your guys in the elephant, and you drive it around.
I forgot about the elephant.
Yeah, you drive it around. It's it served no tactical advantage.
Not at all. No.
But it was fun. Just being stupid.
Yeah. Now, Reach comes out after, obviously, Halo 3 was, I think, as far as our age group, the pinnacle.
That was the pinnacle, yeah.
Of every single one of our friends were online on Xbox playing Halo for Halo 3, and then a little bit into the beginning of Reach, but that's where it kind of petered out and fell off as far as everyone played Halo. But for Reach, I love the campaign. I think the campaign is it's tied for second best with Halo 2. Halo 2's only caveat being it's too hard, whereas Reach's caveat being there are some dull characters and dull moments, but for the most part...
Luckily, they all get killed. Spoiler.
Right. No, man. It's the prequel to the first game, when there's a reason Master Chief is the last Spartan. It's because all the other ones die.
Or that's what they lead you to believe in the earlier games. And then in Halo, I know you don't get into the later games, but then in Halo 4 and 5, it's there's all other Spartans around. I know it's a new Spartan program.
Yeah, it's the lore. Those are new, Master Chief is the last original Spartan.
Well, no, in Halo 5, he's got his buds that were on his original team. I don't know. I didn't really get into the lore because then it started getting convoluted.
Yeah, see, that's why as soon as 343 took over, it was just not as good. For this specific reason, Reach, I think, is the turning point, because I said, I loved the campaign. So many great parts, epic encounters. You cared. When George dies, it's damn, George was the man. I don't want.
Well, they wrote that really well.
Yeah, George was great, But then it's like, I hate Kat the whole time, and then she just gets a bullet through her head. It's like, good, shut up. Finally, you shut the hell up. So that was nice. But but the online...
She gets shot in the head. That was nice.
So the online, I know you spent a hell of a lot of time playing the online. You really enjoyed the online. Now, I'm not saying I despise the online. Don't think it was the worst online ever. But that was the beginning of the end because they added
I agree with this.
They added things like sprint and armor lock and dumb shit like loadouts and jetpacks, and it's like, this isn't Halo anymore.
It started turning into
Call of Duty, right.
Where I think that really, for a while, and it's interesting looking back at it, and I guess every generation goes through this. I know, like, back in the day, it was Sega versus Nintendo, and then, like, for our age group, it was people who played Call of Duty and people who played Halo.
Yeah.
You know, they were like two distinct games. They had two different styles. But Halo Reach, you're right, where it started to change, where they started to meld together.
Yeah.
Where, you know, like you said, they added the loadouts, they added different things. They added the, I think in Halo 4, they added the kill cam. And then I was like, oh, it's done. They added the kill cam. It's not Halo anymore. This is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I think I played one online game of Halo 4. I saw that there was a kill cam, and I never played it again. I was like, oh, this is Call of Duty.
I tried to get into the Halo 4 online. I played, I think, you know, nothing crazy, maybe 30 total online matches, but it's like, I never cared. Like, I would pick it up, play a game, 2, 3, 4 at the max, and then, like, the campaign pissed me off so much, too, because the campaign absolutely sucks.
All right, so we're going into Halo 4 now?
Hold on, I want to get there, because we still got some Reach to talk about.
Okay.
The thing with Halo 4 is, at least Reach had the campaign that was awesome, had good gameplay elements, not entirely Call of Duty. Halo 4, literally, I remember the only mission I think that I even remember / kind of liked was near the end, where you're like Master Chief on like the asteroid space station thing. I only played it once or twice, Halo 4, so I might be mistaken. I don't remember.
No, I know what you're talking about.
But
you're on like a space station.
Yeah, it's like that was the only mission I even remember, other than like the first mission where like the Xbox couldn't even run it, and you couldn't see distant enemies until you went into your sniper scope.
That to me was such a turnoff. I remember being shot by enemies that the game, they were like out of my draw distance for the processing power of the Xbox, where like I was getting shot by enemies I couldn't see, but then when you zoomed up in your scope you saw that they were there. I thought that was really terrible. Now I don't know if that was just on single player or if that was like on split screen. I know it definitely happened on split screen, and it made the game unplayable.
The game came out at the time when if anyone remembers, this is 2 generations ago now, the Xbox 360, the original Xbox 360 was the white one. And then there was like the middle ground one that came out, I think, for Gears 3. It was the red special one that was like a middle ground. They also made a black one that was the same specs. But then they made the 360 that was at the end of its life cycle, which is when Halo 4 came out. It was the sleek, like, metallic black one with the silver buttons, which I still have right at our feet. You probably can't see it because my table's in the way. But that was the upgraded 360 that, you know, you really needed that 360 to enjoy later Xbox 360 games like Red Dead 1, Halo 4. Like, I still experienced the draw distance fiasco in Halo 4 where, like, you couldn't see everybody until you zoomed in. But I noticed, because I watched you play at your house because you had the original white Xbox, and it was literally, like, egregious to the point where I think it is unplayable. Like, they didn't even make any mention of that. I know it's more of like a widely known thing now, like the specs on consoles and like what its capabilities are, but back then it was just like, oh yeah, the new Xbox is better. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to get that because like I didn't know any better at the time, so I figured I'd get it. Because I think my Xbox previously had gotten me the red ring, so it was like, oh, this is good timing. But someone like you who never had a problem with the original Xbox...
I got the red ring.
But
I fixed it.
You fixed it with the towel method.
With the towel trick, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hannah. But I had the good Xbox, and I still experience that, so I can only imagine trying to play that game on the original Xbox.
Now, I did play Halo 4 relatively recently. I think within the last year and a half.
You played it on the Master Chief?
On the Master Chief. And I'm pretty sure I played it on the PC. Oh, no. No, I played it on the Xbox One.
You played it on the Xbox One, yeah.
Master Chief Collection, and I don't think I had the same issues.
Right.
But then again, I didn't play it split screen either.
Right, and again, because it's split screen, you're rendering two separate people's experiences. You're obviously going to have some downgrades, which is a testament to how good Halo 2 and Halo 3 were. That you really didn't experience anything like that playing split screen on any of those games.
One thing also about Halo 4, which I just did not like, is I didn't like the Prometheans.
They were cool the first time you fought them, and then it's like, okay, let's play the waiting game. They're going to dissolve and then reappear. Oh, now I could shoot them, and now they're dead.
In Halo 5, and I know you didn't play Halo 5, they fixed that issue.
Okay.
Where they added... they still had the Promethean Knights, which is the Prometheans from Halo 4, which are the big guys. They have the skull face.
Yeah.
They have, the jetpack thing on. And
They're kind of shaped like the things from Dark Crystal, the big beetle things.
Yeah. So, and they still have those guys, but they made them easier to fight, where they have, weak spots. And then they added the humanoid, Forerunner tech guys that were easier to kill, more fun to kill. So they definitely fixed that issue in Halo 5. Halo 5 fixed a lot of the issues from Halo 4. But yeah, Halo 4, I remember not liking the battle. To me, it didn't make sense that the Covenant was still around. Hey, I thought I destroyed the Covenant. Right. And then also there was no Flood, so that didn't mix up the gameplay at all. And I like fighting the Flood. And then you had these Prometheans that were just a pain in the ass to fight, and they had the little Sentinels. Mm-hmm. And I just thought overall it was lacking in the way that you would interact with the enemies. I guess the combat feedback loop just wasn't there. And at the end, I mentioned it before, in the final mission, they lead it up like it's gonna be a big boss fight against the Didact. And you're running up there, and you jack Cortana into the system, and she takes him down, and you run up there, and then you think it's gonna be a boss fight, and no, it's a cinematic that the guy literally
bitch smacks you.
Bitch smacks Master Chief. My dude.
My hero.
Bitch smacks Master Chief. Master Chief then crawls on the ground like a bitch. And then on top of that, then he survives a nuclear explosion or something. They don't really explain that.
And Cortana is there, but even though she's destroyed,
she's obviously wet, wants Master Chief, but she can't say it.
Right.
It just, nothing about that last ending made any sense. And it was just not the way to end the game. And I was just really disappointed.
Before I get into how the things that I'll add on why I dislike Halo 4, we did forget to bring up Halo ODST. Now, very quickly, because Halo ODST, for those of you who don't know, is basically an in-between Halo 2 and Halo 3 time period that also introduces those enemies that generate the shields that they added from Halo Wars, which Halo Wars being a side thing, I don't think we need to cover here. It's got some cool lore, but that's neither here nor there.
It's a different game.
It's a different game altogether. Yeah. But ODST, I remember the situations that you're in are really cool. Things that are happening are really cool. I just remember the game not being, like you said, the combat gameplay loop. The gameplay loop I don't remember being nearly as rewarding as the other Halos because it was specifically designed for you to feel weaker because you're an ODST and not Master Chief. So it settled the point where it's okay, I want to play Halo to feel like Master Chief, to feel like a Spartan. I don't want to play Halo to be the guy who you take the shotgun from in a regular Halo game. So it had great moments, great elements, great there was a traffic jam from Halo ODST soundtrack is one of the best pieces of music in all of Halo. But other than that, there aren't a lot of memorable soundtrack pieces. There's not a lot of memorable characters. I
don't think I remember a single level from ODST, and I played it. I went to the midnight launch of Halo ODST, and
I think ODST on that point was the first game that I got with my new Xbox. That was the first game for the sleek Xbox.
The sleek, or the slim or something, right? Yeah, I went to the midnight release. I played it all the way through, and looking back, I don't think I can really recall a lot of distinct levels. I recall the music, the dun 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 dun.
That's Traffic Jam. That's Traffic Jam.
Like, I can remember the song,
Yeah.
and a couple of the characters, and I went back to replay it recently because I played through all the Halos when I got Master Chief Collection, and they released Reach on Master Chief Collection.
I still
on
have to
PC.
play ODST and Halo 4 on the PC version of Master Chief Collection, but continue.
So I went back to play ODST, and like for me, when you want to just like play through the levels and experience it, the way that they made the levels surrounding the hub world,
That you have to find the levels, yeah.
really slows it down. Now, the first time I played it, it was interesting because it's like, okay, I'm really experiencing like what's happening on Earth. It had some good lore implications. I know like there were some like riddles and stuff that they hid around, that like puzzled the internet for a while, which is cool. I liked all that. But like going back and like wanting to just play through, it's like, I gotta like stumble around in the dark. I can't see anything. I didn't know like. It just really hindered the experience going back, and I think I got to the first level, and then like it spit me back into the hub world, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Funny moment. Our friend who we were talking about earlier, who really loves Halo, and another friend of ours, who we'll just call Blue at this juncture. We did. I say we, but it's funny because one of the achievements in Halo ODST. I can't remember what it was. I know it was the last level on the hardest difficulty or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. But, like, we were in an Xbox party, and we all started the mission, and we were all going to get it done. We are all going to get the achievement, and I fell asleep, like, on the headset while, like, they did it, and I got the achievement while I was sleeping. It was great.
Oh. I know there's something similar in Halo 3 if you like all are in different vehicles.
That's the one achievement I never got in Halo 3, and because those two other friends and another friend, JC, got the achievement without me, and I was never able to get 4 people together to do it. So it's like you guys got it and I didn't. That was the one achievement I never got in Halo 3.
Interesting. I remember Halo 3, that was when like getting achievements really mattered.
Because you unlocked the Hayabusa armor at the end when you got all the regular achievements.
No, it wasn't the Hayabusa armor. You got the Hayabusa armor, I think, for finding all the skulls, right?
No, you got the Hayabusa armor for 1,000 gamer score, which as they added DLC, you could get over.
How did you get the I thought it was the katana you got for getting all the achievements.
Well, you get the katana and the helmet.
Oh, is it one and the same?
Yeah, because it's the Hayabusa armor.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember how it was. I mean, I had the Hayabusa armor. I never had Recon.
Never had the Recon was... did E get Recon?
No.
No.
Because it's interesting. Another aspect of Halo 3, which I really, really loved at the time, it just goes to show like how many people were actually playing it. I think nowadays like there's almost too many games out where like the whole gaming community isn't playing a single game at a time. I think there was a flash in the pan this year with Among Us, a little small game. Fall Guys, everybody played it for a couple of weeks, but Halo 3
But that's the only games that can do that now are like simple fun, like funny games like that.
Yeah, party games almost. But Halo 3 was like several years of it being the only game that people were really playing online, or
it
like
would be
the
that
vast
it
majority.
would be that game that like everyone had their set of games, but at any time your friend called and said, "Let's play some Halo," you had it ready to go.
You would jump in, yeah.
Right.
And they had the file share.
That's
feature.
what we haven't talked about yet.
Remember the file share feature?
I think that started in Halo 3.
Started in Halo 3.
Theater mode or whatever.
Theater mode, you can take pictures.
But then they also expanded on that in Reach, where you just made your own levels in the sandbox.
They had that in Halo 3. It just wasn't as good.
It wasn't nearly as intuitive.
Yeah, and then Halo Reach, they really made it so you can make actual levels.
And I remember that's when I me and our mutual friend started making a hell of a level. And then we made it, and then I think that was the last thing I did. I was like, all right, well, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done with Halo now.
But before we finish up here, we should touch up on Halo 5. I've never played it.
Which is a shame. You should play it.
I honestly don't think I ever will play it.
Me and you should play through on campaign.
Because I watched the cutscenes on YouTube, just to get like, because I was like, all right, well, if I get Infinite, let me at least see where we left off. It starts out really good. Like, I like the way that it's like, oh, cool, like they're gonna go with this direction. Like, these are other Spartans. They're looking for Chief. Chief still is in love with Cortana. I don't like that storyline from Halo 4, but okay, we're going with it. And then, like, at the end, it's like, oh, now Cortana's gonna destroy the universe. And what are you gonna do? It's like, oh, cool, this is not at all how I wanted my Halo to end up.
So I would agree that the story is trash, and I think that 343 knows the story is trash because when Halo Infinite comes out, it's like skipping forward in time to like kind of like, okay, the resolution of Halo 4 and Halo 3 or Halo 4 and Halo 5's plot line is going to be resolved off screen, so that way they can kind of like start fresh
Because they need to retcon it because it's garbage.
Yeah, they wrote them. They're not going to retcon it. They kind of like wrote themselves into a corner, and so like I agree with you. The story isn't good, but in comparison to Halo 4. The gameplay is really good. Like, the levels are actually fun to play. Like, I definitely recommend it. Skip the cutscenes if you don't like it.
It's still Xbox exclusive, I believe. It's not on PC, correct?
It's not on PC yet. It's still Xbox exclusive. So then I had it, and I think I sold it when I sold my Xbox, so I actually don't have it anymore.
Right. So
I definitely recommend it. If it ever comes out on Master Chief Collection, or if it comes out on PC,
it wouldn't come out because he's not in that game until the very end, I thought.
No, half the levels you play as
Master
so then
maybe
Chief.
it will. Maybe it will. Okay.
Yeah, no, half the levels you play as Master Chief, half the levels you play as Spartan Locke.
Yeah, he's the one in the cutscene in the Halo 2 remaster talking to Arbiter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The Halo 2 remastered cutscenes, magnifique. Fantastic.
I would say Halo 2 Remaster is the best looking Halo. Like, it's got the best color.
It's the latest in the like, you know, latest as in latest one that they made in the series.
I thought Halo 5 came out after.
I don't know. I remember being with Robbie when they were talking about Halo 5 coming out, and that was well before the Halo 2 remake.
Halo 2 Anniversary definitely has the best,
especially the cinematics,
color scheme. Like, it looks like Halo. Like, that's like, it just looks. That's really, how I felt really about good. 4. Not even the resolution, not the details. Like, to me, like, just the color of the Elite's armor is like just perfect. Right. The color of the plasma pistol is just perfect.
That's what I'm saying about Halo really 4. Is Halo 4 is why I stopped Halo 4 again. Apart from the lack of good gameplay. Was it didn't, like, I know they were on like a Promethean world or this, that. It's like it didn't feel or look like Halo anymore. Like,
they got away from the art style. It was
what happened, which happened with literally everything that in movies, in video games, in books even. Like, Mass Effect 1 came out, and then literally everything just tried to copy Mass Effect 1. Like, the Prometheans would fit in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
But it's not Halo.
It's essentially the Geth.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Is that it's I love Mass Effect, and I'll be getting the Legendary Collection, whatever the hell they're calling it.
It'll definitely be a franchise we touch on in the series here.
One of the best series ever, but it had its positives and its negatives being everything tried to copy it, and even to, like, you go back and you watch. There was like a movie where they literally had essentially the Citadel, like in the. I never watched the movie because it was like, okay, they stole this from Mass Effect. It was like about how all the rich people move up to the
Elysium.
Elysium. Yeah. They move up to the space station and it's literally the Citadel. Yeah. It's like, who are you trying to kid here?
Yeah, a bunch of middle-aged women that never played Mass Effect and don't know anybody. Right. That's who they're trying to kid.
Exactly. But so that's why, as far as Halo 5, haven't played it. If it comes out on PC, I'll play it.
Do a Let's Play.
We'll do a Let's Play. I honestly, that's something it's quick. I'd probably bang that out in a couple hours, couple sessions.
Yeah.
I would totally do something like that. But until that time, I'm not buying an Xbox. I don't need an Xbox. I have a gaming PC and a PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. Ain't no need for no Xbox around these parts.
It might even be on the Game Pass, and I think if you have Game Pass,
I think it is.
You can play. I don't know. Maybe leave a comment below. For in the Game Pass, if it's on Game Pass, you can play it on PC.
Really?
Yeah. On Windows 10.
Okay.
We might have to look into.
I might have to look into.
We might have to do some research and then get some Halo content out to you guys.
It may be coming sooner than I thought. So in that case, in that note. We'll be saying so long, salutations, and farewell. Leave a comment as previously stated by a slime. Like, share, and subscribe. We're going to keep the Slimecasts going once per week, variable times, sometime before the weekend, right on a Saturday, maybe the latest. Hoping to get it around that once a week. And more Monster Hunter Rise content coming. We'll be seeing you down the road next time. Slime, any parting words?
Just like, subscribe to King Louie OG. Leave your favorite franchises in the comments below, and we'll try to touch on them a little bit if it's something that we also enjoy. I think we know what we're going to probably do going forward. But other than that, just like, subscribe, comment, and help us out with that algorithm.
Speaking of going forward, I think going forward, touching on the whole Halo thing, Master Chief, just going to leave this little nugget out there for you to digest. Master Chief for Smash, we'll be seeing you.